Welcome to Creating the Muse podcast, brought to you by Indah Pages. This is a space where creativity takes center stage and entrepreneurship becomes an art form. Join us as we dive into the stories of visionary individuals who have harnessed their inner muse to build thriving businesses and craft lives of passion and purpose. Okay, here we go. Welcome to another episode of Creating the Muse. I'm your host, Indiana Holly, and today I'm so thrilled to introduce someone whose journey and creativity truly embodies the spirit of growth and flourishing, Kelsey McCormick. Kelsey is the founder of Coming Up Roses, a creative studio and platform that empowers service providers to transform their skills into an impactful brand. Her career began in the entertainment industry, where she worked with some of the biggest names, including Coachella, Katy Perry, Tony Robbins, and Girlboss, before she took a leap to build her own multi-six-figure creative studio. In this episode, we'll explore Kelsey's incredible journey, her insights on balancing creativity with sustainability, and how she's helped others bloom in their business and personal life. Without further ado, welcome to the podcast, Kelsey.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's really exciting to be here.
Oh, it's my absolute pleasure. We were just saying before we hit record how quickly this all came about from the first time that we had a chat to get to know each other and where we are today. And I've just loved delving into your background, the beauty of your world, which is why for the theme of your cover feature, Creating the Muse, is bloom. And it just fits so beautifully with Coming Up Roses, and the work that you put out into the world is truly beautiful. So I really appreciate you being here today, Kelsey.
Thank you so much. That's so kind.
I guess where I'd like to start is definitely from the beginning. Now, you've had a world of creativity in your life from, the entertainment industry through to what you're birthed into the world now. Would you be able to give listeners a bit of a background about how you've made that transition from the entertainment and into standing into your own creative studio? I love that you call it creative studio as well. So, yeah, could you give us a bit of a rundown about that transition?
Sure. Yeah, so I started in the music industry. I think I was always really drawn to the entertainment industry that I went to university in LA and I always loved music. So I was like, oh, I want to work in music. And I ended up getting like a really great job out of college at one of the biggest concert promoters in LA. So I just spent my 20s going to concerts. It
Oh,
was
I love
basically my
that.
job, like promoting tours and local LA shows, basically figuring out how to reach niche audiences to sell tickets. So similar to what I do now, but instead of tickets, it's creative service providers and their offers and how to reach their niche audiences to sustainably sell in their businesses. Because if there's one thing creatives don't do well, it's usually promote and sell themselves, which unfortunately is part of kind of what you need to do when you have your own business. So I guess that's the through line. I always knew I wanted to do my own thing. My dad's an entrepreneur, and I always thought, his like flexible schedule is so nice. And then when I had a baby in 2020, I was just like, I knew that was the time to go all in on it. I was home. I had a lot of creative energy. I had a really chill baby. So that's kind of when it all started to bloom. And
Love that.
it was a creative studio at first, so I was doing a lot of brand and web design, but that morphed into more education around promoting and selling our offers, which is what I do currently in the current iteration. I feel like my business has just had a lot of different seasons and it's
Yeah,
always
yeah.
kind of bloomed and grown along the way. And yeah, so the current iteration is very much about education, community. I'm doing more events and things like that. So yeah, that's where I'm at the
Mm.
moment.
Oh, it's very exciting. I saw in your in your stories that you were on a panel discussion recently. Is that right?
Yeah, I threw a panel discussion in Sydney. I just organized it and put it all together. I'm
We
just trying
love
to do
that.
more in real life stuff because I don't know if you find this, but we work alone often
Yes.
and we're by
Yeah.
ourselves all the time. And even though I have incredible internet friends, I really miss that like person to person connection. And I don't think you can really recreate that online. So it's just been a big priority recently to try to create more community
In
in real life.
person. Yeah, it's such a great idea. And while you were talking, it was very interesting about the concept of how people, women, particularly in our brands, in our businesses, in our research, in our innovation, whatever it is, we do tend to hide behind the branding in itself. So I love that. And that's pretty much what Creating the Muse was about, was shining the light to draw
Hmm.
out the women behind the magnificence that they've created and established. So it feels like you're doing that and you're helping them to beautifully paint their world in such a feminine kind of approach. And I know you said that even your branding, which I loved, was very much feminine and psychedelic and fun, and it really is resonating. So, are you finding that you're attracting similar clients with that kind of same energy, or is it quite diverse in who your clients are?
I'd say it's diverse in the sense of what people do. Like I have people who come into my community who do creative services, but I also have some product brands. I have speakers and coaches, but I also have, social media managers and I'll just create. That's why I use kind of the blanket term creatives
Creatives,
because it is
yeah,
like a very kind of general different skill sets and different levels really. But I would say they are like me in the sense of I call myself a squiggly creative. I tend to be quite all over the place. I'm a very disorganized person.
I love that though.
Always have been, always will be. So I think a big part.
Organized is organized, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, I have my own ways of that work for my brain for sure. But I think that I really like integrated that and made that part of almost like a superpower of mine, the fact that I am super creative and think differently. And I think that really resonates with people. So I think that people are really attracted to that idea of being, we're creative. We're probably a lot of us have ADHD or on some sort of spectrum, but we also can have successful businesses and
Most definitely.
it can be on our own terms. So I'd say that's again like the through line would probably be that vibe. And I think my branding visually really represents that as well.
1000%. Yeah, definitely. And I've been looking through some of your key messaging, stalking you on your social media, and I love the key messaging that you come out with. It's a, clearly a big value of yours is authenticity. And there's I think you referred to it as climbing the cringe mountain and
Mhm.
not letting the fear paralyze you, but putting yourself out there without having to worry about the filters and just showing up as yourself, which is really important messaging. So how did you come to that approach of it's better to do something and just turn up instead of waiting to be perfect? Or like how have you found that to just step into and take inspired action?
Yeah, that's such a good question. I think, I think a big part of it is just knowing that like the clarity will only come through the action. So if I did wait forever and just with anything in life, if you wait for opportunities to come to you, if you wait for the perfect moment, it just will never come and you'll be in the exact same place. And
Mm.
I just like hate stagnation. I just love growth and I love exploring new things. And that's why I've pivoted so much of my business. Like if you, a lot of people have been following me since the beginning, and I had a creative studio where I was doing brand design, and then I was like kind of coaching and doing launchy kind of training and things like that. And now I'm doing more like events and speaking and panels. And, I just almost see like coming up roses is this creative garden that I get to
Oh, I
play
love
in.
that.
And
Yeah.
I didn't come up with Cringe Mountain. I feel like it's the thing on the internet, like
Oh, is
on
it? Oh,
Instagram. Yeah,
first
yeah.
time I've come across it, I thought it was
Lots of people
brilliant.
like talk about that process, but I mean, I think it's just a perspective thing to me. It's play and it's fun and it doesn't need to be that serious. I don't take my business that seriously. I try to make sure it's always feels fun. And when it doesn't, that's usually a sign things are out of alignment and it's time for me to make some decisions or make some adjustments. Like last year, I was feeling really uninspired just by like the coaching business model. I wasn't really feeling it. I wasn't loving the like selling more courses and coaching spots. And I was just like, this is not for me. But I had just defaulted there because I started educating rather than like being a service provider. And so I was like, oh, okay, like this is a sign I really want to evolve into something slightly different, right? And it's not that different. At the end of the day, it's a personal brand. I'm still at the center of it, but
Mm.
I guess it's also this idea of always like checking in and having some critical thinking skills about, yeah, am I enjoying this? Am I liking this? Like, how could I make this more fun? How can I like make sure I'm really living authentically and my values? So I hope that roundabout answers your question.
It's
Yeah.
perfectly said, and it's a beautiful. I love the analogy of attending and playing in your garden, like, and it is. It's looking, it's tasting, it's feeling the textures, and it's playing with the colors, and it's just courageously stepping into everything that lights up your world, basically, and not letting fear stop you and prevent you from following that evolution in your business. So it's so beautifully said.
Yeah, I really don't feel like, I mean, for us, some people it might be different, but for me, the stakes just aren't that high. It's not like I'm going into a war or like, you know, at the head of some big table and have a massive team. It's just like showing up on the internet. It doesn't feel that serious and it never has. So yeah, it always makes me curious when people are like, oh, it's so scary. It's like it's not like the stakes are just so
Yeah.
low on the internet. And starting your own brand, like it really isn't that big of a deal, I don't think.
And the funny thing is, like in the past, when I've posted something that hasn't been ideal perfect, has ended up having the best, uptake of people liking it. It's like, what? This is like
I know. Well, that's
really
the other
last
thing.
minute. My hair looks like this. Yeah.
You can't predict anything with the algorithm too. Like exactly. The things that you take 2 seconds to make do the best. The things that you take like an hour to edit are just like, don't, it just, you just can't take any
Don't
of it too
over-engineer
seriously.
it. Don't overthink
Yeah. And I
it.
think you
Don't
can really
over-engineer it.
sense when people are putting it on or trying too hard. And the people who you do kind of gravitate toward and are who are the most magnetic online tend to be the ones that don't take it too seriously, I think.
Yes, yes, I agree. It's definitely not the 90s anymore where that perception of perfection is it's just not a thing anymore. It's like we want real, we want
Hmm.
authentic with everything. Do you know what I mean? With the food that we eat, with the way that we dress, the where we source our clothing from. We just want it to be what it is, transparent and authentic in every
Hmm.
aspect. So we don't have time for that. Do you know what I mean? Read between the lines and yeah, and just keeping up pretenses. It's like the old saying of, meeting up with the Joneses. Nobody's got time for that.
Yeah, I think there's just too many Joneses now too. Like
Way
there's
too
no
many
like
Joneses.
monoculture of like what is cool anymore. There's just like all these niche communities and you kind of have to find your own space and like find
Yeah.
inspiration there. So I think that that's part of it too culturally. We're not looking at like one zeitgeist. We're kind of um yeah, there's almost like a real egalitarian kind of vibe at the moment, which is really nice. Like there's no hierarchy. At least that's how I
I
feel.
love that. And it's kind of like interest in all aspects that meet every aspect of your personality, whether that, is you wanted to rock your Birkins or wearing
Yeah.
stiletto high heels. You can have the best of both worlds. It doesn't have to be so black and white sort of thing. So
Yeah. And even like I grew up in the era of like celebrities and like they just seem like these untouchable people. And now they're like all on
just
TikTok
people.
like the rest of us. And you're just like, I don't even find you as interesting as this random other person on TikTok telling me about the
Yeah.
history or whatever you're interested in. So, yeah, it's an interesting time to have a business because it really does feel like you can carve out your own corner and
Ah,
just like make it
just
make it
own
what
your
you want it to be.
quirkiness. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like let your freak flag fly, baby.
Yeah, totally.
I love it. Another key messaging I absolutely loved of yours was this concept of slowing down to speed up. So I'd love to unpack
Mm.
that and what that whole hustle culture has impacted, because I know you've talked about burnout as well. So is that the way that you're paving 2025? Like I know you're soon to be a mum to your second child and you've got Neil,
Yes.
your first child. And so that must really have to land with you now, doesn't it? Where you're not having that hustle culture is just not a thing anymore.
Yeah, I think I've always just been in such a rush. I'm just that type of person that wants it done yesterday. I'm super procrastinating. Like maybe it's part of my ADHD, but I'm like just very last minute Nelly with things. So I think it's a real mantra just for me to realize like you will get to where you want to go actually faster if you just take a breath before you make
Mm,
a decision or
mm.
before you like jump right into that new thing that you want to do. Or it really became a mantra for me last year because I grew stratospherically the first 3 years of my business. But I was so busy and my business was so messy because, and that doesn't mean it wasn't successful and I didn't love what I was doing. It's not like I'm looking back then being like, wow, I was a hot mess. Like, but it was very stressful. Like, there was a
I
lot going
bet.
on. And
Yeah.
it was amazing to be successful so quickly, but it also just left a lot of mess in my wake. So part of last year, actually 2024, was really like, I need to kind of clean up my garden. I need to like really pare back what I'm doing to make room, yeah, for wanting to expand my family, but also wanting to move into maybe more brand partnerships, community events, things that really, really lit me up that I just didn't have capacity for in my business because I was had so many clients and had so many things I was launching and things like that.
Yeah.
So that's the idea of slowing down to speed up. And it's really hard for me because I'm someone who's like, take messy action, like think of an idea and do it the next day. But it's also been really good for me and my
Yeah.
nervous system,
I bet.
as you can
Yeah.
imagine.
Oh God, yeah. That's what I was thinking. I don't know how you brought a child into the world and as you said, brought coming up roses around about the same
I'm
time.
lucky
So,
because my son is just really, really, really chill.
chill. Yeah.
And
Oh
you
wow.
just figure it out, don't you? Like, it's not, I didn't really have much of a choice. I had left my job, so I wasn't making an income. My husband made good money, but it wasn't enough to like cover our lives in Sydney. So it was just like, I got to figure it out. Like it wasn't a situation where I could just rest on my laurels or rely on a partner or had like loads of money saved or some inheritance. Like that just wasn't my situation. So I think when you have a fire under your butt to like make something work, you're just going to make it work. And it's not to say it wasn't challenging, but I really didn't have another choice. It was kind of like that, what is that quote? Like leap in the net will appear. It was just like
Oh, I
I have
love
to
the
do it
trust. Yeah.
and it's going to work out. And it did, and it has. But yeah, it wasn't easy by any means.
Wow. And you clearly moved to Australia for love, right? Is that
Yeah, we well, he was living in LA. We met when I was in college, when I was like 21. So we lived in LA all through my 20s, moved here, had a baby, then pandemic hit and I was missing home. So moved back to America for like a couple of years and
wow.
then just felt like it wasn't the right place for us to parent. Um, I just missed Australia. I was like the childhood in Australia is
I
just
love that.
so good. You guys have it so good. I just kept picturing him being like at the beach and in nippers and
Beach bum. Yeah,
yeah, and I was
that's
like, we have
adorable.
to at least when they're young. I don't know what'll happen maybe later down the line, but at least when they're young, I think it's the best place to be. It's so safe and yeah.
Yeah, and being able to is it where you have what do you call it? Dual citizenship where you
Yeah.
can
And he does
yeah.
as well, so we could always go back, but to be honest, I think we'll be here for a while.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we appreciate that you're here because you're in Sydney at
Yeah.
the moment, aren't
I'm
you?
just north. I'm in Newcastle.
Oh,
Yeah.
Nui. Oh, how lovely
Yeah.
is
So it's
that?
far enough that we can dip down. Like I just did an event there on Friday, but Newey's just such a nice, lovely, chill
Oh, the
place.
ocean's gorgeous.
Yeah, it really
Yeah,
is. It's
yeah. It's a
really nice corner of the
beautiful
world.
part.
I feel
Yes.
very lucky to live here. And my in-laws are here, and so we have a lot of support, which we didn't
That's
really
so
have for my
nice.
son's first 4 years of life. So it's been really nice to have that.
Oh, we love that you're here in Australia,
Yeah.
sharing your beautiful creativity with all our, and you're global, yes? Is that correct? You're coaching people globally at the moment?
Yeah. I mean, I have like one kind of program course called Launch Your Own Way, and people are in there from all over the world. A lot of people from the UK, a lot of US, actually a lot of Australians. I feel like my community is growing here a lot from moving here. But people in Asia as well. I mean, I have people all over the place, South Africa. Yeah, it's
Wow.
really cool. It's cool because when I travel, I end up having like kind of friends everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah, which is nice. We went to Sweden like a year and a half ago, and I had like three friends to meet up with when I got there. And it was so cool to be in like Sweden, where I've never been before in my life, and be like going for drinks with three girls. You know what I mean? And it really feels like that. Like the community really feels like I have friends all over the world.
Oh, that's so great. It's like you'll never be lonely anywhere in the world because you'll always have friends wherever you go. That's
Yeah,
perfect.
it's really nice.
And I think you touched on earlier about not breaking up with traditional business coaching. So I want to explore how that has impacted and how that changes the way you approach mentoring creatives at the moment. So what do you
Yeah.
mean by traditional coaching and what does the new
I
world?
guess I mean like the general business coaching where it's like you sign up with a coach and they're like just helping you with like every aspect of your business, and you have to lock in for like 6 to 12 months and pay like a couple $1,000s a month, and you're just like locked into this
Ah,
model that
okay.
almost feels like,
You're
yeah, I just kind
trapped.
of lost faith in it, I guess. I think that it can be a really good thing for people starting out, but I wish that instead of investing in coaching in my early days, I would have done more just peer-to-peer mentorship, because there's so many
Mm.
people like who are at my level or are my peers that I could have like just as easily tapped into and chatted to. And also invested that money in like the stock market or something. I
Yeah,
just think
yeah,
like it's just a bit of a I'd rather invest in specific skills. Like a course I recently invested in is a meta ads course to teach me how to run meta ads.
yeah, yeah.
Um, or I recently hired a consultant to help me with public speaking. So it's like those specific skill sets that I I need to learn from an expert rather than like a general
Yeah,
business
yeah.
coach.
No, that sounds great. And it's multi because it sounds like you're very multifaceted as well in your creativity. So it makes clear sense why you wouldn't want to box yourself into that old traditional business coaching in itself, especially if you want to get all your, because I love that how you said you do have all fingers in different pies all the time. Um, so it's great that you've got that approach where you can just, take a little bit of this and take a little bit of that from everywhere instead of signing up to like a 12-month program of some sort where you feel stifled and stuck. So,
Yeah, I think that's why I like teaching the really specific skill set of marketing campaigns or launching, because it's like you learn a super specific skill that you can take away and apply, but you don't need to like you learn it once and you can keep iterating and keep learning and keep adapting it to your business. You don't need to pay me for 12 months to have to learn it. And there's no like new skill that you have to unlock and pay me more money for, you know? And that's kind of how business coaching felt. It felt like, you would sign up for 6 months, and then after 6 months, it would be like, unlock this next level with me. And like, it just felt very, and then they were only coaching you on how to have their kind of business model, which I wasn't interested in growing.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
think I just reached a bit of
Um,
a end point with it where it just didn't really make sense for me to continue. And I think you'd be so much better. Most people would be so much better really investing in peer-to-peer relationships
Yeah, yeah, I agree.
rather than paying, thousands and thousands of dollars for a
I couldn't
so-called
agree
expert.
more.
Yeah.
And through your container, you do provide that coaching as well, don't you? No, you.
No,
Oh,
no.
okay. It's just
Just
solely the branding side of things.
yeah, I don't offer brand design either. Literally all I offer right now, I have a private podcast which is like teaches people how to basically grow a warm audience. So I kind of goes back to my concert promotion days where before we would launch a big tour, we would like tease things and have a campaign to like get the audience ready and know something's coming. We'd start a wait list, things like that. So it's kind of that concept of how do you get your audience like how do you turn a cold audience into like ready to buy
Oh,
community?
I love that. That's
Yeah,
awesome. So
which is
there'll be a lot of human behavior side into that, wouldn't there? Like,
yeah, lots of
yeah.
a little bit of psychology, a lot of strategy, a lot of like just conversations with other people that are in a similar industry and how that they've done it in their business too. Just I really want to paint the picture that there's no like one formula or one way to do this. There's just like so many different ways to like grow your own brand, to grow your community. So I really want to like share different stories as well. So that's kind of one thing is like my private podcast, which is a subscription model. And then I have Launch Your Own Way, which is a course that basically teaches you how to market and sell your offers consistently. Again, with things I learned from the music industry, just
That's
applying that to
incredible.
service provider businesses.
Yeah.
Then after that, there's really nothing else I offer at the moment other than these events and brand partnerships and things that
It
I'm
sounds
working
like
on
a
in the
lot.
background.
There's nothing else to
Yeah,
offer, but you got your course.
my course and yeah, but most people in the
And your
industry have
event.
like five courses and like three
Whoa.
programs and like community. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really not that much. It's actually not much at all.
Yeah, but like you said, it's about that slowing down to speed up. So, and that
Yeah.
you can allow for new things to drop in so that if you do want to do in-person events, you've got capacity and space to do
Making
that.
room for
So,
that and of course baby number two. So just
yeah,
yeah, trying to kind of
yeah.
scale what I have, simplify what I have, and then yeah, leave room for new opportunities for
Yes,
sure.
yeah, moving forward when the time
Yeah.
is ready, clearly. Because how you said you were 20 weeks, which
Yeah, I'm doing
halfway?
June. So yeah, I'm working on a couple of partnerships, hopefully around International Women's Day in March. But yeah, I'll be slowing things down around like late April, May.
Yeah, yeah, start to nest. Get the
Yeah,
space ready. That's beautiful.
exactly. I know I still need to get all the things because it's been so long since we had like our first is turning 5, so we don't have so many things anymore.
Yeah, yeah. An excuse to go out shopping, right?
Yeah, exactly. Get all new things.
I wanted to touch on something else that I found in researching or stalking your socials was that you said self-sabotage was one of your biggest challenges.
Mm.
So I would like to know how you have overcome this pattern and how have you um, clean those remove those doubts of self-doubt that's crept into your mind. Like how do you approach that and how do you tell it to pipe down, or like what has been the tools that you use so that you don't, because I know you talked about procrastination at one point
Mm.
there. So yeah, so clearly you've identified the patterns and you know what to do to move past that so it doesn't, because I know you sound like you're very quite happy to jump off cliffs and dive in feet first. So, do you experience self-sabotage at all anymore?
Yeah, of course. I think it's a normal thing, especially because I'm always kind of coming up against new edges. So I'd say the best thing that I can do is, or the best thing that I do is just make sure that it's not the loudest voice, because it's always going to be there.
Yeah.
So you have to pay attention to it. But I think journaling, really like trying to um, I think I'm quite a verbal processor too. So while I journal every day pretty much, I also like to kind of have a few again, peers in business that I just kind of verbally process things with, or even just myself, like just talking out loud to myself, which sounds really psychotic. Um, but yeah, just processing the emotion and really understanding where it's coming from, right? Because usually there's like some sort of a root cause and like
Yeah.
something wants to be kind of heard and paid attention to. And then once you do, it becomes a lot less loud.
Yeah, it's so true. It's like sometimes you can have the story repeating in your head over and over and again, and you think in your mind that it's truth, right? But as soon as you hear it and it comes out of your mouth, or like you said, write it down, then you can kind of like super sleuth it, debunk it, and say how there's no logic in that thought process whatsoever. So
Hmm.
yeah, it's such a good way just to get it out of your head, regardless of if it's speaking to your peers or writing it out, or as you said, very audible and listening to yourself, hear yourself say it. It's such a powerful tool, isn't it?
Yeah, it sucks when it gets you in a place where you're kind of stuck. And I
You're
think I've been there
looping.
quite a few times.
Yeah.
So it's important for me, it manifests in just feeling like super uninspired and just being like, I don't want to do this.
Oh, fair.
And
Yeah.
that's usually a sign that I've like really not, I need to just get moving again, get like a spark going again. Um, and yeah, need to kind of figure out what's holding me back. And usually it's me doing something that's out of alignment, which is again something that I usually need to explore.
Yeah, I love that you said that because I think you said that around burnout as well as like if you're feeling burnout, it's generally because either you're not charging enough or your clients aren't in alignment with you. So I think,
Mhm.
yeah, it just really, it's kind of like this North Star within us that's if things like that are coming up, you've got to question the alignment to your values, don't you?
Yeah, I think you really do. I think it's important to have a spiritual practice too, and just really have that self-belief and self-trust that you're on the right path. Because sometimes I do have a little bit of like shadow around just like changing my mind or like wanting to do something new. But that's just like in my innate personality is wanting to be up against edges and try new things and explore. And it's actually like quite a good thing when I lean into it and don't let the shame about it overtake. But sometimes I'm like, wait, why am I always like wanting to try something new? Why can't I just like chill with where I'm at? But that's just not who I am. I love to challenge myself and experience new things. And um, yeah, I think that that's again, like it's almost reframing it to be like, it's okay. Like that's how you
No
are, and it's a
judgment.
good thing. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what a great place to be in. Like, I would love to be quite comfortable with rubbing up against, things that feel uncomfortable and going for it. Like, generally, fear stops people from doing things, not getting out of their comfort zone because your brain wants to keep you safe. And,
I think I'm more afraid of complacency.
oh,
I think
I
that's like
love that.
staying
Yeah.
like it's really hard for me.
Staying
Actually,
stuck and
pregnancy's been
stagnant
hard because I haven't really felt like doing things and I'm
slows
like,
you down.
like I need to get to a Pilates class or I need to like go down to Sydney and see some friends. And it's been a bit demotivating because I'm just like physically not feeling up for things like I normally am.
It's
So yeah.
forcing you to slow down and
Yeah,
be in the
exactly. Just
moment, like just
be.
stay here.
Yeah, which is also not a bad thing, but I think there's a difference between like complacency and just like also honoring the season and slowing down, and maybe that's the balance I need to figure out right
Yeah,
now.
in this moment. But I love
Yeah.
that you say that. Like, I used to always think I was really weird because I didn't feel like I was a tree and that I could stay in one location for too long. And I always move like a couple of years. I love to explore and I love the feeling of a new place and, new people and new shops and just new energy. And I'm like now, what, 47? And I have such a nomadic spirit. And I love that you said that that's just who you are and that's okay. Do you know what I mean? Like you don't have
Mhm.
to judge it. You don't have to say that something's wrong and just own it. So I love
Yeah,
that
I
you
think
said
that's a
that.
cool thing. Like you live once, why not move around?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
Why not try it out? Especially there can be things that like maybe you want to stay put for. So for us, it's like we spent so much time moving around that now we're like, we'll stay put for a while. Our son's 5, he's about to go into school. You know, or he's 4.5. I have a new baby coming. So it's a season where we're staying put, but that doesn't mean in the future we might not travel or move somewhere else. You know what I mean? I think
Yeah.
it's nice to kind of recognize how you're the most comfortable and mm,
So you've helped over nearly 300 creatives. Like that's incredible, the work that you do.
yeah, maybe more than that. Like 300 is
Wow.
through Launch Your Own Way, which is my course, but definitely more than that through the different workshops I've done and courses and
That's
yeah, for sure.
incredible, the impact that you're having and how you're supporting creatives to, like you said, demand the room, get what did you say? The warm authenticity of their audience. There was something that I love the
Yeah,
terminology that
usually
you
that
used.
like a lot of creative service providers, they're skill based, so they spend a lot of time, you know,
Technical.
yeah,
Yeah.
doing a skill and having their head down and not really creating a community and not therefore not selling consistently because they're relying on word of mouth or just the sporadic inquiry that they get. So it's really about like creating a ready to buy community so that you're not just constantly waiting for your next client, or you can pivot if you want to do something new and you don't want to have to be like a brand designer forever if that's the case. Or you just really want a nice community of fellow creatives around because that makes your life and job really nice, you know? So it's really about how to go from that cold, kind of disengaged audience to a
Mm.
ready to buy community, is what I say.
Ready to buy community. I love that. So there was one, I know it's probably you've got a very like heaps of tools on how to do that, but what's the number one tip that you can share with our audiences on how to attract that kind of audience?
Oh, that's such a good question because it really is a process. There's like
Oh,
several steps to it.
I knew there would
But
have
I'd
been.
say showing up somewhere consistently. So whether
Consistently.
it's
Okay.
showing up at a networking group every Thursday or showing up on Instagram every day, like just showing up somewhere consistently and serving value. So giving people valuable content around your area of expertise so that they trust you as like their go-to kind of expert
Ah,
who can
so it's
help
the
them.
building the trust is
Yeah, it's building
yeah,
trust. And how do you build trust? Through generosity, really, through
and
giving
showing
before
up.
you expect to from listening and those sorts of things. So that's what I would recommend, but it's about like doing it somewhere over time too, because it takes time.
Yeah, yeah, fair. But that's such a key um, lesson is just showing up. Like even just showing your face, even if you don't have something to share, or just being there and connecting with other human beings, 'cause it's all about the human connection, isn't it? You get your opportunities through your network, so you're
And I
not
think
going to
like
do that alone.
exactly. And I think not waiting for opportunities. That's a big lesson I've had to learn. I mean, I've always been a bit of a go-getter, but there's been certain things I've wanted in business and been like, oh, someone will just like eventually approach me for an opportunity like that. And it just doesn't really happen. Like you have to
Won't fall in your
position
lap.
yourself. Exactly. Even these events, I'm like, I want to host events. I love hosting panels. I love bringing people together. I love like the environment. But a brand isn't just going to be like, hey, random girl on the internet, like come host our panel. I'm like, I'm going to have to organize, create, curate, sell tickets to a panel, get photos taken, and then like create a deck, send them out to people. Like I had to make it happen on a successful level on my
Yeah.
own. And now I'm positioning myself to be like someone who does that to people. So I think it's also important to like create the thing that you're looking for. So often people are looking for more opportunities or more sales. And it's like you have to actually give value in order to get that. You have to actually show up somewhere consistently in order to get that. It's not just going to
So
fall in
great.
your lap.
Yeah. And I love that you said that, put out into the world what you want in return. I think that's
Yeah.
brilliantly said. Yeah, definitely.
Have you found that with like your magazine and stuff? It just like has brought some opportunities and things like that.
Yeah, most and my community has definitely been how my opportunities have come about, and I've been able to have very like do you know that old saying is you can't have the alignment. Where is it? Like you can't mix business with pleasure.
Oh,
Like
okay, yeah.
yeah, and I found that that's completely the opposite for me,
Yeah.
where
Not at all for me either. That
I've
seems
al-
like a very antiquated idea.
it does. It's such a bizarre thing to come
Yeah.
up with because I felt that it is emotional connection. Like, yes, have the boundaries, but I've found that my clients there is that trust there. It's have been embedded. We show up for each other. We cheer each other on. It's just that beautiful. And I seem to be, that's the way I attract the women into my world. So it's being able to hold that container in that space for people to show up themselves. So, because I
That's
personally,
beautiful.
I hated it. I hated putting myself out there, but
I
I
don't think
think,
anyone loves it.
no, I just wanted
Except
to
maybe
hide.
Gen Z because they like grew up with it. But my like
Yeah.
I didn't grow up with Instagram and like having a profile and stuff, Like I mean I kind of had MySpace in high school, but yeah, Instagram didn't come along until I was graduating college. And
Yeah, yeah.
so it just it's still a bit
A bit.
unnatural to me,
Yeah, yeah,
Like most of
yeah.
my
There's a bit of
friends
a
from high
push to
school aren't
have to do
really
it.
posting themselves online. So
Yeah.
it's weird. It is weird. It's unnatural. It's not,
Yeah, it doesn't come naturally at
yeah,
all. So, and like you said, continuously showing up. Like I find that really hard to do. Like pop up, show my face. But I do understand it, and I understand it's that building their rapport and trust with your clients. Like it's great. Like I love my clients so much. I adore them. But it's because I don't constantly show up. I'm not allowing for more opportunities and more connections to come through. So I
mm,
really value you saying that. So it's definitely a aha moment. You know it. You know it's in the back of your mind that it tells you to do it. But it's, yeah, when you hear somebody else say it, it's like gives you
yeah.
full
And I
permission
think
to
it's
do it.
not about being everywhere. It's about like where does showing up feel the most easeful or like where are people most likely hanging out. So I'm not on TikTok because
Couldn't
that
imagine you being
that
on.
feels weird to me and I don't know
Yeah,
what to do
yeah.
on there. I posted a few things, but it just the volume that you have to, it
It
just
didn't
isn't for me.
align.
But
Yeah, yeah.
Instagram is like where I easily show up every day. So that's where I'm going to
Yeah.
be
And
pretty
I love
much.
your stories. They're so inspiring. And, like
Oh,
even
thank
this
you.
morning, I think you had a beach day today and you said you're just showing what your outfit of the day was. And I thought that was adorable. A baggy long sleeve shirt and some
Yeah, I
shorts, I
think
think it was.
everything's like
Yeah.
not fitting me anymore. So I'm down
Oh,
to like the same shirt that I wear every
yeah, yeah.
day.
You need to invest in some more key pieces or just steal your hubby's clothes.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I've been doing, wearing his t-shirts and stuff. He's like,
Yeah.
stop wearing all my clothes. I'm like, I literally don't have anything else and I don't want to buy all new things for like
Yeah.
20 weeks?
Yeah, fair. Yeah, definitely. Oh, look, like I realize you've got a lot of responsibilities and your little one's home, so I won't take up too much of your time, but I just wanted to say thank you so much. I love that you're going to be this coming issues cover feature with the theme of Bloom, which is the essence of who you are, and it'll be threaded all the way through the magazine. So we've got contributors coming in and telling stories about their approach to Bloom to support your incredible issue. And I guess that's my last question is the reason why we're here is, and what does creating the muse mean to you? So I'd love for you to tell us what that feels like in your body and what that means when I say that.
Yeah, that's such a good question. I feel like it means having space. I don't know if that like why that's the first thing that comes to me, but I think it's so easy to not allow any space for inspiration and allow any space for um exploration and excavation and all of these things that we've been talking about with like when self-sabotage creeps in, like you just sometimes need some space to like think about things and address things and explore things and allow
Mm.
inspiration to actually come through to you. So I think that that's a big lesson I've learned throughout my business is it's okay to take a beat. It's okay to um leave some space between decisions. It's okay to just like have some quiet moments where you're not on your phone and you're not on email and you're not chasing your tail around. Like you're really just allowing some spaciousness so that you can, yeah, create the muse, I guess.
Wow, that's such a powerful word, spaciousness. And I couldn't agree more. It's usually when I'm camping in nature or I'm in Shavasana in yoga and or I'm meditating. And when you that spaciousness is when it allows like those little pings to drop in. Do you know what I mean? Whereas if you're
Even
filling
just
your
the
days
shower,
and oh yeah,
just
that's
like
the
any
perfect place.
moments that you're like not filling your brain with stuff.
Doing.
And I have the
Yeah.
noisiest brain. So sometimes it can be really hard to just think clearly at all. So I think that, like I said, that's the lesson I keep having to learn is just, yes, you'll get to it. Yes, you have a million ideas, but just like take a beat, make some
Yeah,
space.
pause.
And that's kind of what I've been slowly chipping away at in my business. How can I just simplify, do less, make space so
Love
that I can
it.
continue to kind of fulfill my creative
Yeah,
desires
your
and visions.
container. Yeah, definitely. And I'm excited about you doing these in-person events and you're doing the
Thanks.
International Women's Day one as well in Sydney. Well, do you know the dates or have you marketed it yet or
Not yet. No, I'm still kind of putting the pieces together, but I'm really
watch
excited
the
about
space
that.
going out with a bang
And
before bubs come, hey? Like
yeah, yeah. And then I'll be quiet for a while, probably until 2026. Then we'll see.
nice, nice. Yeah,
Yeah, what about you? Do
definitely.
you have anything exciting on the horizon?
I'm going to Sydney in March for an event, like showing up as you suggested. So that'll be
Yay.
nice. So, but that's not my event. I'm just turning up to somebody else's event. So, and being spoiled. So I feel like a lot in the past, I've always created the events for people to come to, but now I'm giving myself permission to not be the doer and just go along to things. I'm really loving being on the receiving end instead of on the giving side. So
Nice. Are you
that's
speaking at it or are you just like going
no,
to
no,
be
it's just a
attending?
growth opportunity, learning
Cool.
opportunity. And there'll probably be some uncomfortable moments to expand and stretch,
Yay. That's awesome. That'll be
which I'm
fun.
not looking. So I'm in that era now of receiving instead of giving. So that's why I was like, when's your event? So I'm
Yeah, I'll
hoping
keep you
to,
posted. Maybe it'll overlap.
yeah, that'd be amazing. That'd be incredible. And for our listeners, where can they find your incredible container of work and how can they reach out and get support from you?
Yeah, everything is at cominguproses.co. So my website's cominguproses.co. You can get some free episodes of my podcast on there if you want to kind of
Oh,
dive into
nice.
warming up your audience. There's some really
I
great interview
love that.
episodes on there to get you started and just lots of fun goodies on my website. Definitely check it out.
Lots of freebies, lots of tools. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I really appreciated this and I love diving into your world. And I cannot wait to co-create with you on your cover feature coming out at the end of next month.
Awesome. I can't wait too. Thank you again for the opportunity. It's really exciting.
My absolute pleasure. Bye.
Bye.